let me ask you this: with the first 48's been showing interrogation room footage for a full 20 years, and now there's so many different true crime channels and some true crime channels on YouTube that are absolutely stellar. Like a lot of this content that's being pumped out in the true crime genre is just so impressive and so compelling. With all of the interrogation room content, going out to the public, like, are more people getting the understanding to just shut up and ask for a lawyer, or is that just something they're never going to get?
I don't know, because we get a lot of people who lawyer up. They, we come in, we read a Miranda, and they say, I want to talk to my lawyer. But it really doesn't happen as often as you think that it probably would otherwise. But, Miranda has just been ubiquitous across the since the 70s. I mean, every cop show you've ever watched has Miranda, to the point that I think anybody can recite it better than we can. They know it, and yet people still talk. Sometimes guilty suspects talk to us because they want to find out what we know. They're doing a fishing expedition too, and you see this kind of cat and mouse thing going on in an interrogation where the detective's trying to pull the information out of the suspect's trying to pull the information out of the detective, and sometimes it's fun to watch and seeing who's going to win that battle.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert, it's always us. But I mean, we do it a lot more than they do. But you can see a suspect trying to find things out, just trying to figure out what we know, and then we'll let something drop, and then they'll change their story in order to fit, and that's when you've got them.
Right. Well, right. I mean, once they commit themselves to a story, changing it's not going to work so well. The different tactics that get used. I mean, some of the things that I hear in all these interrogations, like you always hear, I don't think you're a monster. I don't think you're a bad guy. I think it just something got out of hand, and like you appeal to the suspect, to appeal to them to confess by suggesting that it's in their interest to explain how something just got a little bit out of hand, that they didn't intend for it, but it's like, hey, you're gonna be it's evident that you're responsible for this. Everybody's gonna know that you're responsible for this. It's the question of, are you a monster or did something get out of hand? And that's like kind of a way to creep into, oh well, yeah, no, I'm not a monster, and then that's a very effective tactic.
It is. It's one of those things that, and you get this idea that we hate the bad guys. We're slamming phone books down and throwing fists, but most of the time you like these guys. I mean, yeah, they just killed somebody.
Most of the time.
Most of the time. Realistically, we have met so many people who have shot somebody that you go, I like that dude. They walk away and you genuinely, I would go have a beer with them. And, they're not outside of this big mistake that they just made. And it really is in their best interest to reach out and try to make themselves seem human, make themselves seem sorry for what happened.
Right.
But yeah, you clam up and you want to act hard and you want to act like, hey, I'm not going to talk to you because, we've had people say, I'm glad I killed him. I killed that dude. I'm glad I killed him. That's kind of a monstrous statement to make. It's difficult to kill somebody. It's not something most people can do. There's a great book called On Killing, which kind of goes through the whole psychology and how even for soldiers in war, it's incredibly difficult to kill somebody. So when somebody makes that jump and does that, they've crossed a line that is monstrous in and of itself, but the person themselves, they're not monsters.
In the interrogation room, there's more tactics. Like, this is your opportunity. I mean, I suppose that kind of fits in with the, you don't want people to think you're a monster. But let me take this from a different angle. And I almost don't want to say this, but I'm just I find it so fascinating. The reality is that if you've got everything that you need for the charge, then you're not in the interrogation room, right? Like,
No, not really. Most of the time, by the time we bring them in there, we've got enough. I mean, we're well past it. We're like everybody else. We want to know the whole story. I mean, we could make the arrest, we could charge you and book you in and never talk to you.
well, right. I guess you're just strengthening your case.
We're strengthening our case, but we're also, I mean, that's the thing. Everybody wants to know why. And that's the thing that keeps you awake at night when you see somebody die and you're investigating it and it seems so senseless and you can't figure out why the hell this happened. You know who did it. You know what they did it with. You know everything but the why. I mean, we're storytelling creatures. We want to know that part of the story. It's an important part of the story, and part of it's part of curiosity, and part of it's strengthening our case, and part of it's we want to be able to answer a jury. And if you had a good reason for why you committed this murder,
then here's your opportunity to tell me.
Here's your opportunity to tell it, and you're not going to get another opportunity unless you sit on the stand and testify in your own defense.
Wow. I wonder about it. Does that make sense? Like, you're not going to get another opportunity. What if, wow, that's really interesting. So the person that speaks with you waives their right to an attorney, waives their right to be silent, goes ahead and speaks with you, says more than they should have, or whatever, just goes ahead and strengthens the case against them. Then when the interrogation's over, they go back to their cell, and then presumably they're appointed an attorney or they hire an attorney. Can that attorney not reach out to you guys and get into? I guess there's no point in that.
Well, they can. They can. I mean, we've had attorneys tell their clients, "Don't talk. Don't say a word." And we have no choice. We end up arresting. We suspect there might be like a self-defense element to this murder.
Right.
And the attorney basically talks them into getting charged. And then, 5 days later, the attorney hears the story and goes, "Oh, we need to go back and talk to the police on this." Well, now it's too late. I mean, they can talk to us, and then they can work something out with the district attorney later on. But yeah, getting that, if you committed a self-defense, you need to talk about that as quickly as you can and talk to us about it.
Right.
Because, some attorneys just start out with a "don't talk, never talk to the police, don't do it." Well, you may just talk yourself into getting or not talk yourself into getting a charge. Whereas otherwise we kind of get it. We understand it. We see what's going on, but we don't have the why, and we don't understand, there's so many, there's so many nuances in the way this could go.
Yeah. So you could not talk yourself into getting a charge.
It's happened.
And why would it be too late? Like, let's say, 5 days, they're 5 days later, then the attorney hears the story. He says, "Oh, well, no, now we got to talk to him."
Well, now you're charged and you have to go. I mean, you're in the system now.
Right.
Whereas before, if you have a good excuse and it was a self-defense or there was some kind of, we're not going to charge you tonight. You're free to go home.
Yeah.
And then we'll go and we'll talk to the district attorney later, present them with what they have, and they'll make the determination whether to charge or not charge. But it's very rare that they disagree. Yeah, it's out of our hands.
Right. And so it's entirely up to you whether the charge is filed and what the charge is filed with the DA.
Yeah. Well, a judge is going to have to determine if we made a mistake or not. We book them in here, and the judge reads our probable cause affidavit, and they go, "There's not enough here to charge." They could kick them loose then. But again, we're not going to book you in unless we have it.
Right.
I mean, we've got the goods. If we put the handcuffs on, we've got the goods.
Yeah. There's some the beginning of every episode, I think, says sometimes charges are reduced or dropped. And then you find out the resolution at the end of the case, typically with the text on the screen saying this person, pleaded guilty to such and such. So what they were saying, it's so great to find out what happened.
Yeah.
And in your work, there's really no such thing as too many chefs in the kitchen. You know, like too many chefs in the interrogation room, yeah, but you've got that great video feed where outside of the interrogation, the whole unit is crowded around the TV,
Yep.
watching the interview unfold, texting questions, oh, ask him this and ask him that. And like the more collaboration, the more like people involved, like the better.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been one of the great things that you know, we also have a civilian crime analyst, Margot Hain Bell. She's on a lot of the episodes, but while Margot will be watching the interrogation going on, and somebody says, you know, I know this guy as Joe. That's all I know him as is Joe. She's running every Joe that he could possibly know and checking out all the feeds, and she comes up and we'll be able to push the picture over and go, or show them a picture and say,
Right.
is this Joe? And they'll go, oh yeah. You know,
Yeah,
Margot's
it's,
like this. She's amazing at finding information really, really quickly. And, you know, she's a civilian. She, I think, was an electrical engineer before she came on, and she's a hell of a detective. I mean, she's really finding stuff that I don't think we could find otherwise.